everybody. Hello and welcome to today's show. Today is World Read Aloud Day, and we have invited the creator of the Bad Kitty book series, Nick Bruel, to join us. And Nick will be sharing some of his story-making secrets. But before we get started, I want to invite you all to join in the chat and let us know where you're tuning in from. You can also send us your questions and share your comments, and our friends from the MacMillan's children's team will respond in the chat. Now, parents, teachers, friends, everybody watching, don't forget, have your cameras ready because we will have a chance to take a selfie with our special guest. All right, friends, without further ado, let the fun begin.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, friends, thanks again for joining us. We're so glad you're here. My name is Ann Cosma, and I will be your host today, and I'm so excited to celebrate World Read Aloud Day with you all. We couldn't be more excited to welcome the creator of the hugely popular Bad Kitty series. Now, Nick will be joining us in just a moment, and he has prepared some super fun and creative challenges for you. So make sure you have your pens, some papers ready, and let's invite him in. Nick, are you out there? Oh my gosh, friends, I don't know if he can hear me. I think I need your help. I want you all out there to say World Read Aloud Day and blink. Are you ready? Let's test it. World Read Aloud Day! Oh my gosh. Friends, maybe that wasn't loud enough. I think we should try it one more time. Remember, say World Read Aloud Day and then blink. Okay, are you ready? World Read Aloud Day! Oh my gosh, we did it!
I'm here. All right. Everybody can calm down now, please. Boy, there's no taking a nap on World Read Aloud Day, let me tell you. Okay, but I'm here. Thank you.
We did it. You're here. Happy World Read Aloud Day.
Thank you. Happy World Read Aloud Day to you and everyone else out there.
We are so excited that you are here. Should we give everybody our plan for today's show?
I think that would be a terrific idea, Ann.
All right, let's share what's coming up. Today's agenda includes getting to know the author. We're going to have a Bad Kitty read aloud. We're actually going to learn how to draw Bad Kitty. Of course, we'll have selfie time and get to your questions. Nick, how does this sound? Are you ready to get started?
It's a pretty full schedule, Ann, but I think we can pack it all in, don't you?
Oh, I think it sounds perfect. See what I did there?
I did.
Before we ask that first question, Nick, I want to give a shout out to some of the folks, the students, kids, folks who are watching all around the world. Hello to our friends in New York, California. We see you. Hello, Mr. Lopez and students. We have friends watching in Minnesota, Boston, Canada, Kansas. Wow, hello. We have some special friends watching on their snow day in Texas. Hello, Kyler and Knox. And Nick, we have Varnatalki students from Atiki, Greece joining in too. Wow, so many friends are here.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us.
Oh my gosh, incredible. And I'm ready to jump right in. Nick, your Bad Kitty series. It is super popular. Folks of all ages love these books, kids especially. What was the inspiration?
Yeah, no, the same thing has always inspired me to write my books when I was a kid, when I first started making Bad Kitty, and what inspires me now, and that is reading other people's books. I mean, it's no secret that if you want to be a writer, then you have to read as much as possible. Now, I recognize I just said that sentence on World Read Aloud a Day, and I said that to kids who are in school and that they have their teachers and their librarians and their media specialists and their parents and all the grown-ups in their lives are already saying to you, you have to read as much as possible. Your future depends on it. Well, the reason they say this is because it's true. And I'm going to give you the specific reason why this is true if you want to be a writer. You have to think of it this way. Okay, say you have a book. All right, you read the book, you finish the book, you put it down, you set it aside, you say to yourself, wow, I loved that book. That was an amazing book. I'm going to tell everybody to read that book. As a writer, you ask yourself the very important question, what was it about that book that I love so much? If you can find that answer, you can use that in your own writing. Now, on the other side of the coin, let's say you read a book. You finish a book, you close the book, you put it down, you set it aside, you say to yourself, eh boy, I did not love that book. That was not the best book. I don't think I can tell anybody to read that book. Let's face it, it happens. It's okay. Because then as a writer, you ask yourself that important question. What was it about that book that did not work for me? If you can find that answer, you can use that in your writing as well. So the lesson is simple. Don't worry about whether or not you think you're going to love or not love the book that you have in your hand. Read it anyway, because they will all be useful to you in the long run. Great question, Ed. Thank you for asking it.
And that's a great answer. Thank you for sharing about that. Reminds me to not give up and press on, keep going. Okay, so I have to ask about Bad Kitty. Why is Bad Kitty so bad?
Well, the funny thing about Kitty is I don't even actually think of her necessarily as being bad. And this all started almost 20 years ago when I wrote and illustrated the first Bad Kitty book, which was simply Bad Kitty. It was a picture book about this ornery cat who doesn't get the food she wants in alphabetical order. So all these acts of mayhem in alphabetical order. So a few years later, when I started doing these chapter books, it made sense that since this was all the same character, that the titles all begin Bad Kitty. But you may notice that inside the books, I don't call her Bad Kitty, I call her Kitty, because that's who she is. Now, she's a cat who may be sometimes a little ornery, easy to frustrate, but she's not actively trying to be bad, at least not always. For the most part, she is herself. And my challenge as a writer is to put her into situations that challenge her and may put her into a foul mood, but also to give her the opportunity to make amends and to grow as a character by the time the book ends. But then not change her so much that I can't use her for the next book, where she's going to be her usual ornery self again.
I love that Kitty is always learning and growing, and that's what we do too, right?
Well, it's no coincidence that Kitty is in many ways kind of like all of us, but especially a kid who happens to be shaped like a cat.
I love it. I love it. Well, Nick, I'd like to switch gears to learn a little bit more about you. Can you share with us, how did you decide to become an author?
Well, the easiest way to put it is that I don't know if there was any moment, right, where I decided I need to be an author. That's just how we all are. But I can tell you that even when I was very young, and I do mean very young, like first grade, there was nothing that I enjoyed more than to sit down at the table with a big blank sheet of paper with a pencil, pen, crayon, whatever, and get my little hands on and just start writing and drawing stories. I just loved doing that. So I did that all through first grade. I was doing that all through second grade. I was writing and drawing stories in third, fourth, fifth grade. Writing and drawing stories in middle school, high school, college, all those years since. I've just simply always been writing and drawing stories. I do it now because I love it. it turns out that I love it as much now as I did when I was in first grade.
That is so cool to hear. It's always fascinating when we get a little peek about who you are and those details. So thank you for sharing. I'm curious, is there anybody in particular who inspired you on your journey along the way?
Well, I got to say there is a magnificent author, writer, illustrator, cartoonist, man named Jules Pfeiffer, who by the way, just had his birthday. So at some point in a moment, just shout out into the air, happy birthday, Jules Pfeiffer, because he just turned, I believe, 94. And he is continuing to write and draw stories. He is an amazing cartoonist. He's an amazing children's book author. He wrote and illustrated Bark George, for instance. He writes chapter books like The Man in the Ceiling. And he has an Academy Award for an animated piece he did years ago. He's got a Pulitzer Prize for his cartooning work. He's got awards for plays that he wrote that went to Broadway and such. He is pretty much just about every award there is except for America's Top Model. And I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't vie for that one this time next year. He's a wonderful guy. His name is Jules Pfeiffer, and most of you may know him as being the man who illustrated the Phantom Toll Booth.
Oh, what an inspiration. Yes.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Okay, so your illustrations, I mean, we can close our eyes and see Kitty in our head, but I was wondering if you could tell us about your creative process.
It's because I'm in this sort of funny position where I both write and illustrate my stories. I can boil it down to it kind of begins with the writing part, and then I integrate the drawing part into it. But before I even write down a word, I have to do something that I think is pretty much critical to anybody who wants to write stories. And I have to sit back and I have to daydream. I have to find a nice quiet place, either at home or outside, where I can actually sit and I can contemplate ideas. And that's a really important part. And that's not always easy to do. But once I have an idea, and that idea may have come quickly and it may have taken a while to get to me, then I just start writing things down. And if I think this is going to be a good long story, then I do something that's very important and I create an outline. I always describe an outline as being like a map, right? Maps are very rarely straight lines. So like for instance, if you had to get up from your house and you had to walk to school, unless you happen to live next door to your school or across the street, it's not a straight line. Right? You go to the end of the driveway, you take a right, you go to the stop sign, you take a left, you go to the corner, you take a right again. If you're driving, maybe you have to get on the highway. If you're not, then you have to go through all these side streets. It's never a straight line. And that's what a story is like, because I know where I'm starting, I know where I'm ending. And the outline is my map telling me all the twists and turns that I need to take to get from the start to the ending. That's all written down. I do that by hand. But then it gets interesting, because then I start writing the story now that I have my map, and I'm sketching at the same time. I'll take a sheet of paper because I know what I want to say, but because every page is so illustrated, I'm going to do a little sketch of what I think the drawing could look like on that page. And I'll do that over and over and over. And this is the longest part. This will take me a couple of months where I write, and I'm writing and sketching on sheets of paper until I have a full book. Then, because I can't take those sketches, those can't be in the published book, the final book, I make nice, clean drawings based on all of those sketches. And I take all of the words I wrote down, I type them into the computer. I take all the drawings, the clean drawings I made, and I scan those into the computer. And now I take all the words, all the drawings, and I put them together in a program that I send to my editor. And she's the one who looks at everything work that I've written and everything that I've drawn and make sure that they're the best they can be. From there on, it becomes a book. And the whole process can take anywhere from 6 to 9 months.
Oh my gosh, it is so fascinating to get to hear you talk about your process. And I love that it starts with imagination and creativity and daydreaming, the doodling component while you're writing, outlining to give you that roadmap. Thank you for sharing about your process. I know everybody out there found it as fascinating as I did to hear you talk and share those insights. So, Nick, World Read Aloud Day, and we would love to hear you read aloud. What do you think about sharing a little bit about Bad Kitty with us live?
I thought you'd never ask, Anne. Absolutely, that's what I want to do. And it's great that you asked me the question about what inspired me earlier, because when you may remember, the answer was essentially reading. As it turns out, the thing that I read the most when I was a kid, the things that I read the most while I was growing up, all the way to this day, was and is comic books. I love comic books. I particularly love superhero comic books. That's just me. That's how it's always been with me. And it took all these books, but I finally was able to take all those comics and all those things I love to read and all that inspiration that I, built up to create an actual Bad Kitty book about comic books and superheroes. So what I'm going to read to you from is a portion that is kind of in the middle of Bad Kitty's Super Cat. And what's led up to this point is that Kitty's owner is concerned that Kitty has these sort of antisocial tendencies. She doesn't really go out of her way to socialize or play with other cats, and Kitty's owner is a little concerned about this. So after a few attempts for play dates with other cats, Kitty has begrudgingly agreed to spend the day with Strange Kitty. And in doing so, they're going to play what is Strange Kitty's favorite game, which is Superhero. And this is what's led us to that. In order to show you what I'm doing, I'm going to switch over to my handy dandy fancy document camera, where I will read to you from Bad Kitty Super Cat. And on the page I'm going to read to you, they started the game, and you see Kitty. You see Strange Kitty. He's already dressed up as his superhero counterpart, Captain Fantasticat, and his little friend Mouse is now already wearing mask, being as Power Mouse, the Murine Wonder. And Strange Kitty, Captain Fantasticat, says, "We have just 3 more things to complete your superhero experience, Kitty. Are they chips, guacamole, and cheese? I could really use a snack," says Mouse. "First, we have to pick your superhero name. Let's think about this. You have super strength, and your weakness is water. Seriously, I'm feeling peckish. Incredibly strong hates water cat. Too long. Hyperbionic Wonderlass. Cool, but vague. Captain Fantasticat. That's yours. Oh, right. Captain Marvel. Taken twice. Superior Feline. Sounds like a fancy brand of cat food. Mighty Cat. Sounds like a cheap brand of cat food. Super-de-duper-de cat? You're getting closer. How about just Super Cat? I like it. Let's try it on. Stronger than a lion, fiercer than a tiger, as unique as an Iberian lynx. Here comes Super Cat. Nice pose. The kid's a natural. The second thing we'll need is your official superhero costume. I know that sounds complicated, but fortunately, we should have everything we need right here in your home. Now, what follows in the book is 2 pages of how Kitty builds her superhero costume and how actually you guys at home can build your superhero costume yourself. Now, most of these are variations on crafts I found on the internet, but there's one in particular that I invented myself, and I want to show you how I do it. Now, what you don't need much. You just need a sock like this one, and a pair of scissors, like these. Now, I cannot stress enough that you should be using a clean sock in order to create this costume piece. This world has suffered from enough toxic pathogens in the last few years that we shouldn't be using a dirty sock. And because you're using scissors, you will need some adult supervision. Now, I want you to think of the heel of the sock as being like the center, all right, the middle. Because what we're going to do is we want to cut away the ends of the sock so that it's even, they're evenly sized from the heel, all right? All right, so that's the easy part. Now it gets a little bit tricky because now I want to fold my sock lengthwise. Like so. It's okay if the heel part is sticking out. We want that, in fact. And now that I've cut it lengthwise, I'm going to cut these U-shaped sections on either side of the heel, which, remember, that's the middle. All right, I did it on one side. Now I'm going to do it on the other side. And there we go. Now, the third thing you'll need, I don't have it on me at the moment, is a shoelace, because you're going to want to run it through, because once you're done, you will have your own homemade cool domino mask. I am the knight. That is something you can do at home. Back to our originally scheduled read aloud. Oh man, says Mouse. You're not going to believe this. Are you ready for the big reveal? I can't wait, says Captain Fantasticat. Ladies and gentlemen, kittens of all ages, put your paws together for the one, the only, Super Cat! I'm actually emotional. I know, this feels like a big deal, right? Super Cat. You're just in time for the third and final thing we need for your superhero experience, an epic adventure. My magic spatula, forged from the steel of an alien meteorite found inside the heart of Jupiter's third moon, has just alerted me that evil is afoot. We're going to need all of your incredible super strength for what is to come. Are you ready for adventure? Super Cat looks ready. Are you ready for danger? Gulp, says Super Cat. Are you ready to put your very life on the line for the sake of 92 universes? Super Cat doesn't look so sure. Good enough. Wait, I felt something. Did you feel that, Super Cat? Did you feel the air suddenly become cold, as if a monstrously powerful, malevolent force is approaching, but we have no way to prevent its arrival? Do you sense it, Power Mouse? I sure do, Cap. Do you see that, heroes? Can you see the skies suddenly grow dark as thick storm clouds swirl chaotically and blot out the sun? Streaks of lightning are dancing about in the blackened heavens as a low, distant rumble causes the very ground to tremble. What's that? Look yonder. There, in the center of the maelstrom, is a single fiery spark growing brighter by the moment. Look now! A column of light has formed from it. This is no mere laser, no puny weapon. This is a transporter beam, bringing forth the most powerful creature known throughout the galaxy. He is a conqueror of worlds, a destroyer of planets, and an all-around tough character. Prepare yourselves, hero. Prepare yourselves for battle. Ding dong. goes the door. Screech goes Super Cat. Zoom goes Super Cat. I'll get it, says Mouse. And if you want to find out who that is at the door, one excellent way to do that is to get your hands on a copy of Bad Kitty Super Cat, now available in all the finer bookstores and libraries.
And I am not going to give it away, but it was so awesome to hear you read aloud and bring that story to life, Nick. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I know everybody is excited to learn how to draw Bad Kitty, but before we get to the drawing time, let's answer some of those video questions. Nick,
Great.
we have a video question coming in from Moab, Utah. Let's roll it.
Hi, my name is Brixton. I live in Moab, Utah. My question is, do you draw the pictures or write the story first? Thank you.
Great question. Brixton from Moab, Utah is wondering about your process. Do you start with drawings or the story?
Well, I'm glad you repeated the question because I was a little bit distracted by Brixton's awesome cat that he had on his lap. I kind of answered this beforehand, right? I talked a little bit about how, to me, the first thing that comes is the idea, then the outline, then I start writing the words, but I'm also sketching along with the words. Then I put all the words and the drawings into the computer at the same time. Now, I think it's important to know that that doesn't necessarily have to be the way that everybody does it, right? That's kind of how the way I do it. When people who sit down and write stories, they will each have their own process. They're going to do whatever is most comfortable for him or her. So Brixton, I hope you're writing your stories too. And if you're writing and drawing, maybe you're like me and you'll write your words first and then the pictures will come along with them afterwards. But maybe it'll be different for you. So long as you're doing it, that's the key. Great question. Thanks for asking it.
Oh, and that's a great response and encouragement too. Okay, we have another video question. This one is coming from Jade in New Orleans. Let's hear it.
Hi, my name is Jade. I'm from New Orleans. I have a question. Have you ever got stuck writing a story? Thank you.
Oh, great question. Jade from New Orleans wants to know if you ever got stuck writing a story.
Yes, that's a great. It is a very sophisticated question Jade asked. This is the kind of question that I'm asked not just by kids and students, but also by grown-ups. And the short answer is yes. Of course, I've gotten stuck. But as you may have noticed by now, I'm not prone to just giving short answers. So really the important part of the question is, yes, I get stuck, but here's one way that you can get yourself unstuck from writing. And this is something I learned in college, and you have to think of it this way. Now, when we get stuck, a lot of people call this condition writer's block, right? You may have heard those two words together, writer's block. It's that condition where, you have an idea, it's there in your head, but you don't really know what to do with it, and you're stuck. Everything's blank. If you had a good idea, you'd make it real and you'd be okay, right? But you don't. So here's how I had to think about it. All right. First thing you have to do is you have to recognize that you always have an idea in your head. It's there, no matter what. You can't stop it. You can't prevent it. It's going to be there. So the question really you have to think about it is, why is that idea, as you put it, stuck there? Well, this is how you think about it. Writer's block is the same as pride. Writer's block equals pride. The reason you're stuck isn't because you don't have an idea. The reason you're stuck is because you don't think the idea you have is good enough to write down. The solution is simple. You write it down anyway. And when you write it down, one of two things happens. Either A, maybe it's a lousy idea. That's okay. Ideas are cheap. So you move on to the next idea, and maybe that one will be better. Or you take the idea you have and you shape it, you adjust it, you change it to be closer to what you really want it to be. Or B, maybe the idea was pretty good. You just had to give it a chance. And once you write it down, you realize this is something you can work with. And this actually happens more often than we're willing to admit. And it makes sense, right? Because we are all unique and creative people. So there's no reason why your ideas can't be as unique and as creative as you are. So to get yourself unstuck, just remember, writer's block equals pride. If you think of it in those terms, you should be able to push your way past it. Good luck, though.
I love that answer and the sentiment of ideas are as unique as each individual and keep going. That is incredible, incredible advice. Thank you. Okay, Nick, I have my pen, my paper ready. Folks out there, I hope you have yours ready as well, because we are all going to learn how to draw Bad Kitty. Nick, are you ready?
I am ready because I've got my paper and I've got my marker too. So this is what we're going to do. Now, before coming on here, I promised myself that I wasn't going to be the guy who got the paper and got the marker and just said out loud, all right, kids, this is how you draw a bad kitty. No. See, because you're in school. And school is a place where you go to learn something new every day. And the most you're going to learn from watching me draw bad kitty is how I draw cats, and not even necessarily how you would draw cats yourself. I always say it's kind of like learning how to sing by watching American Idol. Don't get me wrong. Totally amusing, completely entertaining, just not, educationally relevant. So this is what we're going to do. I am, of course, going to draw a bad kitty. But in doing so, I am going to show you the hardest part. I'm going to show you the biggest challenge that I face each and every single time I have to draw this character. And that is giving her feelings, emotions. See, feelings and emotions are really important in stories. Every single character and every single story that you have ever read, that you are ever going to read, all of those characters needed feelings to seem real. But I've got a problem. It's kind of a big problem. My problem is that I created a character who does not talk. Kitty doesn't talk. She's a cat. But because she doesn't talk, she can't just tell us what she's thinking. She can't just tell us what she's feeling. So the only way to know what Kitty is thinking or feeling is by seeing the expressions on her face. That's a challenge. And I'm going to show you how I meet that challenge each and every single time. How, you ask? Why, with the help of my handy-dandy fancy-schmancy document camera, of course. See you in a moment. All right, so got my paper. I got my marker. Let's draw Kitty. Now, when I'm drawing Kitty, I always start in the middle of her face with that part of the body called the elbow. Wait, that doesn't sound right. Hold on, let me move on. Let me review here. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, and eyes and ears and mouth and nose. That's her nose. I knew that. Sorry, got distracted. Moving on. Below her nose, I'm going to draw her mouth. All right. Now, above her nose, I'm going to draw these two circles. And these two circles, of course, are her gallbladder. Wait, that doesn't sound right either. Head, shoulders, knees and toes. Head, shoulders, knees and toes, and eyes. Those are eyes. I knew that. Moving on. Now, above her eyes, I'm going to draw these four hairy deals. Next come her ears. Now, my research shows that all cats have 2 ears, so I always give Kitty 2 ears, if only for the sake of scientific authenticity. If you ever run across a cat that has more or less than 2 ears, medical attention might be necessary. Now, next came the whiskery deals. Now, you'll notice that the ones in the middle are a little longer than the ones around it. That just kind of helps balance her head. I'm going to close with giving her skinny neck, shoulders, and that little tuft of white fur on her chest. And there's Kitty. Hi, Kitty. Now, I'm not really done yet. You see, because I call this blank-faced Kitty. She doesn't really have an expression here, at least not yet. You cannot look at this face and know for sure what she's thinking. You certainly cannot look at this face and know for sure what she is feeling. That is about to change. Because with a single stroke of this marker, I'm going to turn this blank expressionless Kitty into annoyed Kitty. This is going to happen quickly, so pay attention. Here we go. No expression. Annoyed. In case you missed it the first time. No expression. Annoyed. No expression. Annoyed. You see, the smallest detail can make a huge difference. It's knowing where to put that detail. That's my challenge. To further illustrate this point, literally, I'm going to do this 3 more times. Now, to save time, I'm not going to draw her whole head. I'm not going to draw certain features like her hair or even her ears or the neck or anything like that. I'm going to focus more on the important components of her face, but you may have already noticed that those 2 circles, her eyes, I'm making them a little bit bigger than I did that first time. All right, there you go. I have 3 kitty faces. They're pretty much the same, right? They're pretty much identical, but obviously they're also incomplete. Something is missing. Well, by the time I am finished, this first one is going to be surprised Kitty. All right? This next one here is going to be crazy Kitty. And this last one down here is going to be adorable Kitty. All right, you ready? Here we go. First things first, surprised Kitty. 1, 2. That was easy, but check this out. This is my favorite part. See, all I did was add 2 dots. And look what happened by adding just 2 dots. Because look at how much more alive that face suddenly became compared to the other 2. I never get tired of that. All right, moving on. Crazy Kitty. You ready? Here we go. 1, 2. That's not so hard. Last but not least, adorable Kitty. You ready? Here we go. 1, 2. I had 3 kitty faces. They used to be the same. They used to be identical. By the time I was done, the only difference between surprised, crazy, and adorable was where I put the dots for her eyes and how big I made them. Learning these details, the ones that make such a huge difference, took me a lot of time. A lot of practice remains to this day the hardest part of my job when I have to draw this character.
I never thought I'd have the chance to share my drawings with you, and I love that tidbit about one detail and how that detail can change everything. That was so fun getting to draw with you, and I know folks out there loved that. And Nick, we're getting to the moment they've also been waiting for, selfie time.
All right.
Okay. So parents, friends, everybody who's watching, please have your cameras out, gather in front of your screen in your classroom, at home, at your kitchen or living room, wherever it is you are watching from. And before we take this selfie, I want to give a few more shout outs. We have 2 classes at Evergreen Elementary in Bakersfield, California watching. Miss Stibor's class in California, Mr. Carlin's class in Lockport, New York, Mrs. Perez's class in Houston, Texas, Mrs. Aldridge in Ohio, you and your students, hello. Aaron's class, Pasadena, California, Mrs. MacArthur, 4th graders out there in Canton, Georgia, Mrs. Cole's class, Mrs. Lee's class. Nick, folks everywhere are watching, and I bet they're ready for this selfie.
That's great. I'm ready.
All right. Well, folks, I hope you're set up. While you're getting set up, when you share these on social, please tag us at Microsoft Flip. Please tag our friend Nick Bruel at Nick Bruel. And of course, please tag our good friends at MacMillan's Children's Publishing at Mac Kids Books. And of course, use that hashtag World Read Aloud Day. So, Nick, it's time. Would you give us a countdown?
Sure, I will. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So fun indeed. And folks, we would love to see those selfies that you just took with Nick. So again, please be sure to share them on social or post them on Twitter. And oh my gosh, this has been so incredible getting to celebrate World Read Aloud Day with you. And Nick, you have shared so many wonderful ideas and thoughts today about being a writer, the writing and drawing process that you take. And I'm so curious if there's anything you'd like to leave our audience with before it's time to go.
Yeah, sure. World Read Aloud Day isn't really just one day, though, is it? I mean, we celebrate World Read Aloud Day on this day, but really every day is and should be World Read Aloud Day. So get out there, read your books, write your stories, have fun doing both, okay? Thanks for having me.
I love that great advice. Get out there and every day read, read, read. Nick, again, thank you so much for being here with us, inspiring the next generation of creators like yourself. We have loved spending this time with you.
I enjoyed every minute of this, so thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, folks, what a fun way to celebrate World Read Aloud Day. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have. We want to say thank you so much for joining us for this global event. And the World Read Aloud Day team is inviting you to build your story. You can go to aka.ms/WRAD 2023 to create your stories and hear from kids all around the world. And teachers, if you love live learning experiences, you can connect your class with authors, reading tutors, scientists, and even experts to go on virtual field trips throughout the entire year at Take Lessons. We would love to have you check that out. And of course, we have events for you every week. You can go to aka.ms/flip-events to find an upcoming adventure. On February 16, we will be meeting Dr. Ibram X. Kendi and Nick Stone, who will be chatting with us about their new book, How to Be a Young Anti-Racist. And then on March 2nd, we will be celebrating Read Across America with a super fun event with the creators of Princess in Black and Princess in Pink. Get ready to dress up for a ball. And now it's time for our show to end, but we have a special video message from Pam Allen, the creator of the World Read Aloud Day, and this message is for all of you. On behalf of our team and the MacMillan's children's team, and of course our special guest, author and illustrator Nick Bruel, thank you so much for watching. We will leave you all with the video. Let's roll it.
Hi everybody, this is Pam Allen and I'm the creator of World Read Aloud Day. World Read Aloud Day happens every year on the first Wednesday of February, and this year that falls on February 1st, 2023. That's when we're celebrating worldwide for 24 hours. We're going to have a blast. We'd love for you to join. and celebrate the power of reading aloud to someone in your life. Show your love, show your care to someone, or be the recipient of a read aloud. Whether you're a teacher or a parent or a caregiver or a friend, find somebody on this day and read aloud to them wherever you are, in any place you are, and send a picture. Share on social media and hashtag out World Read Aloud Day to show us where you've read on this day and what you've read. It could be something you've written yourself. It could be something that you've loved since you were a child, or it could be something that a child in your life loves to hear again and again. The power of the read aloud is that it builds stamina, it builds vocabulary, it builds fluency, and most of all, it builds joy. And joy is such an important thing in today's world for children, but really for all of us. So join us on World Read Aloud Day. Give the power of the read aloud to someone else as a gift and receive it as a gift too. Have a great RAD.